We've probably all been there. You're working at a computer, you go to delete a file that you no longer want, and suddenly you realise that you've deleted something you really didn't want to lose. And luckily there are professional companies that can help retrieve data when it's lost in this way. And in fact, they claim that some of their techniques are so good they can retrieve data from disks and drives that seem otherwise completely damaged beyond repair. So to find out how some of these techniques work, I thought I would have a go at deleting some files and damaging some disks of my own. So I've got here 2 hard drives, which I've loaded up with some old files, some engineer articles that I've finished working on, and a video file that I've made. And I thought I'd have a go at destroying them myself. I've got a hammer here to do some damage to one of them, and I've got some boiling water here, so I thought I could simulate an accident. Perhaps if you spill your tea over a disk, you might find that it's seemingly damaged. And to make it even harder, I've actually deleted all of the files off of one of these disks to see if the engineers at Kroll on Track, who I'm going to visit next week, can retrieve the data for me in the meantime. Okay, so we'll do the boiling water first. I'll just move this down there for later, put this disk in here, and here we go. Well and truly damaged. And now for the other one. Don't recommend you try this at home. Well, I think that'll do. I'm going to send this off to the engineers at Kroll on Track and see what they can do with it. So it's 2 weeks later and I'm here at Kroll on Track, who are based in Epsom in Surrey, to see if they've been able to recover my data. Data recovery firms claim to be able to rescue lost files from hard drives that have suffered very serious damage. Kroll on Track was even involved in recovering data from the wreckage of the Columbia Space Shuttle in 2003. However, the key techniques for recovering data are software-based, so there are limits to what they can do if the magnetic disk itself is affected, and it seems that I may have got a little carried away.
First of all, we knew exactly what happened as soon as we saw that. So it was, I guess, destroyed with a hammer, hammer.
That's right.
And unfortunately nothing we can do with this one. As you see, the damage was severe enough to go through the top lid and then damage all 3 platters. Perhaps the bottom platter wasn't intact, but it's good enough. The damage was great enough for it to be unrecoverable, unfortunately. If the damage is only to the outside or to the electronics, we can just swap it or fix it. The most important part of the hard drive is the actual platters themselves. And in 3.5-inch drives, we've got aluminium platters. In laptop drives, we've got glass platters. So if you did the same with the laptop platter, it probably would shatter and it would be unrecoverable as well. In this case, the platters, they have to spin quite fast, and you know that the heads need to hover over the platter. And in this case, it's just, I can't even move it, I can't even replace parts or anything like that. So it's completely destroyed. This one was recovered, so 100%, all the data, all the documents, as far as I remember, were here, so this was successful. This is the initial view of the hard drive as soon as I opened it, the external case, and there was just lots of water inside, and you see some parts of the PCB started to corrode already. And in this case, I just had to be really quick and dry it out, and then just open the case and continue the recovery from the inside, separate all the parts, internal parts, and clean them.
Once the hardware is cleaned up, Kroll then uses a suite of software tools to locate and sort the files, even those that have ostensibly been deleted.
Usually what happens is that the data itself is intact. It's what's been lost is the links to where those files are stored. And that's the clever part that we do. We have to make those reconnections to the file data so that we can then extract it and the customer can use it again. If you scan the whole disk when you've lost the links, you will come across information which tells you that you've reached the start of a particular file. Once you've found that and read information which is embedded with the start of that file, you can potentially then piece it together and rebuild the link which allows you to extract the data. Certain types of files such as JPEGs, which is a photo file, it has a signature right at the beginning of the file which tells you that it is a JPEG file. And if you build up a picture by finding all the starts of the files, then you can potentially get those back.